Hey everyone, this is a continuation of our 1.8 domain and range. This is talking about different ways of notation, interval notation versus intervals. So, what we did in our previous videos, we used inequalities to show, and open circle remembers when it's just less than or greater than, and those are not included values. Our closed circle is when it's less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and those values are included. For interval notation, we used closed brackets to include the endpoints and parentheses when the endpoints are not included. When it extends to infinity, we always use parentheses because infinity has no endpoint. So express the set of numbers on the number line below as an inequality. So here we have a solid circle on -2, so it's x is greater than or equal to -2. When we express that same thing in intervals, we have a closed bracket for -2 and then comma infinity. We always start with the smallest value to the largest. And then when we say that we're going from -4 is less than x is less than 2, that would be parentheses -4 because it's not included, comma 2 parentheses. So again, it goes from smallest to largest. For each of the following, state the interval as an inequality and an interval notation. So as an inequality, I'm going to zoom in on this. So on -3, it's an open circle. So that means it's -3 is less than or equal to x. X is larger than -3, is less than or equal to +3. And I have a mistake there. It's not less than or equal to -3 because it's only -3 is less than x because that was open. Now, when we're doing that in intervals, that's open. So it's a parenthesis, -3, comma 3, closed. So it's a bracket. Number 2, these are both closed. So that means 1 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 4. So then that's closed 1, comma 4 bracket. Number 3, here this is just x is greater than 1. So that would be parenthesis 1, comma infinity, which is also a parenthesis because we always go from smallest to largest. Number 4, this is x is less than or equal to 1. So here, remember, we always go from smallest to largest. So we're going to do parenthesis, negative infinity, because that's our smallest values, comma 1, and then close it with a bracket because 1 is included because that's a solid circle. Now, number 5 and 6, here we go. It says that x is less than -2 or x is greater than or equal to 1. So when we're writing that in interval notation, we would do it as two different intervals. So we would say parenthesis, negative infinity, comma, -2, parenthesis, or bracket 1, comma, infinity, parenthesis, because infinity always gets a parenthesis. So we still include the word or. Number 6, here again, we say x is less than -1 or x is greater than 2. X is less than -1 is negative infinity, parenthesis, -1, parenthesis, or parenthesis 2, comma, infinity, parenthesis. We use intervals to describe features of a relation, such as domain and range when it's in positive or negative, or when it's increasing or decreasing, which we will deal with in the next lesson. So for example, the linear graph shows a partial graph of a function 2x minus 1. f of x equals 2x minus 1. Determine the domain and range of the function as an inequality and in interval notation. So our inequality, it's -2 is less than or equal to x is less than 4. And that's because there's an open circle on 4, which then shows us in interval notation, it's -2, comma 4 with a bracket. Notice here our inequality is positive when it's from x is less than -3 or x is greater than 3. That's when we have positive x values. And inequality for our range is -5 is less than or equal to x is less than 7. So again, that's -5 to 7, closed to open. Our negative values is when it's between -3 and 3. So it's when it's in the negative values, and that's -3 to 3 parentheses. So now if we look at this previous problem that we did in the previous homework, our domain, we said, starts from -2 and goes to +4. And before we wrote it as an inequality. Now we're going to write it in interval. So we do closed, -2, comma, 4, closed. Our range went down to -5, so it's closed, -5, comma, 4, closed. And that's it for interval notation. We will continue using that throughout the rest of the chapter and the rest of the year. If you have any questions, please bring them to class.